Hello and welcome to Spardha Lines, your one-stop destination for the civil services preparation, UPSC, KPSC and other state level examinations. Let us try and understand some of the important articles that are in news from the Hindu newspaper, which are important both from the pre as well as your mains examination perspective. Let's look into the first article. The first article is important from your cultural aspect, which is important from your GS paper 1 perspective. This article is primarily speaking about extinction of the languages. What's happening of late? What we are witnessing world over is the one language, which is English, and many other primary languages are being used by the people, and as a result some of the tribal languages, some of the languages which do not have many speakers have becoming extinct is what is this article all about. Let us try and understand what is this article speaking about, what are the measures that have to be taken in order to prevent the extinction of the languages. The author goes on to say that when it comes to India, what we have is myriad languages. When it comes to the southern part of India, you predominantly have Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, Tamil as the languages. You also have other dialects as well. When it comes to the northeastern part of India, they have their own dialects, they have their own languages. When it comes to the tribal heartlands in India, they have their own languages as well, but predominantly what we have is the connecting language in the form of English. So connecting language happens to be between north and the south, between east and the west, and also the northeast part of India as well. So English happens to be a common language in India. But English is not a common language as well when it comes to the remote areas. Let's say for example we have the tribal heartlands or the remote pockets of the country. In these places, English may not act as the language which is connecting the people from one language community to another language community. And English as of now is becoming one of the important languages in the world, which is able to act as the bridge between one set of people with another section of the people. Now, if we look into the data, because of this language which is acting as a major bridge, it is also leading to extinction of the other languages. English as a language, as I am speaking to you, you are able to understand. You might be in any part of our country. If you are preparing for the civil services, you will understand for the fact that you have to give your exams in English, and you can also give it in local language as well, in one of the scheduled languages. But apart from that, because you are able to understand what I am speaking, it has become a major language which is helping bridge the differences between a person who is present in South India to a person who is present in North India, so on and so forth. Similarly, English is also acting as a language which is one of the major languages in the entire world as well. Now, if we look into the data, an estimated 7,000 distinct languages are spoken as mother tongue across the world, but these languages are shrinking rapidly. An interesting mathematical model published in the economic journal focus the extinction of 40% of the languages with less than 35,000 speakers with 100 years. So as a result of this data, we can get to a conclusion that less and less number of people are speaking their mother tongues. In case there are people whose number is less than 35,000, this ultimately leads to an extinction, and there will be no people who will speak that particular language. If there are speakers who are less than 35,000 in a whole, it is not in lakhs or in crores, but if it is less than 35,000, that particular language will go extinct, says this article. What are the reasons for extinction? That is because when there is a particular language, you have three generations of people. Who are these three generations of people? They have the first generation people, second generation people, and third generation people. Who are the first generation people? These are the people who migrate to another country. Let's say for example, I am an ambitious person. So what do? I as an advocate, let's say I have to practice before, let's say in United Kingdom as a solicitor, or I have to go to United States of America and practice as an attorney because I have ambitious plans. My mother tongue happens to be, let's say, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, whatsoever it is. I as a first generation speaker, my mother tongue is Hindi, or my mother tongue is Kannada, or my mother tongue is Tamil. But then I moved from India, I moved to United States of America. I, as a person who knows a mother tongue, am able to read Hindi, understand Hindi, able to understand Kannada, able to read Kannada as a script language. So I am the first generation person who moves to United States of America. But now I will have my kids and they will have their kids as well. So when I have my kids, that becomes the second generation. When they have their kids, that becomes the third generation. So what is leading to this extinction is, when I as a person, let's say I am from a remote tribal heartland, I do not have much of the communication, I do not have the script. So what do? I switch to another language, I move to another country, I switch to another language. So the second generation have no idea about this particular language, which means to say the first generation knows the script, the first generation knows how to speak as well, but the second generation know only to speak. They do not know how to read that particular script. But the third generation does not know to read the script. They do not know how to speak that particular language. So because I move from one country to another, I am a first generation speaker. I can read the script of the language. I can articulate as well. I can speak as well. That is the first generation. The second generation may only know to speak because they are speaking to their parents, and they may not know the reading of that particular script because they are born in a different country. And the third happens to be the third generation. This third generation, they do not speak up in that language. They do not know the script of that particular language. This ultimately leads to the extinction of the language. So in case I am going to United States of America, or I am going to Australia, or I am going to Canada, or if I am going to any of these countries, the predominant language happens to be English. Most of the people would want to get their green cards. They leave India to go to United States of America when they have their kids, and their kids have their kids. This ultimately leads to they speaking English as the language, which is the most widely spoken language of the world. So what is leading to this extinction? When certain section of the people whose number is less than 35,000, they do not communicate to their children in that language, that leads to extinction of the language. And at the same time, when they move from one country to another, these people move to another country, and when they do not know to read the script, when they do not speak that language, when their grandchildren do not speak to the grandparents about a specific language, that leads to what is called as the extinction. So this article says that in order to capitalize on the socio and economic advantages offered by the new place, the first generation migrants become bilingual, as I just explained. The next generation has a weaker grasp of its mother tongue, and the third generation may no longer speak that language. This ultimately leads to extinction of the language. In order to overcome this, what we have to do is we have to take couple of measures as well. But the article in the present situation also says that when you look at couple of indexes, let's say for example, we have the index of the linguistic diversity. What does it do? It measures the gauge, that is the decline of the languages. Then what we also have is the language diversity index. What is this language diversity index? It gives a ranking or a marking or a prescribed threshold or a limit on the basis of which you would get to know whether the language is safe or it is going in an extinction mode. And when you have the parameters defined, it ranges from 0, everyone has the same mother tongue, to 1, no two people have the same mother tongue, which means to say if the value is attached to that particular language whose value is 0, it means that there is extinction of a particular language, which means that this particular language has long become dead. There is only one homogeneous language. So 0 means that there is less diversity of the languages. 1 basically means you still have the diversity of the languages. So what is index of the linguistic diversity? It gives you an idea about the decline of the languages. The language diversity index, whose value is 0, basically promotes that there are less number of languages, and if it is 1, there are more number of languages. Smaller number of mother languages have a lower LDI than countries with a larger number of mother languages. In terms of LDI, the 3 lowest ranking countries are Haiti, Cuba and Samoa, while the top ranking countries happens to be Papua Guinea, Vanuatu as well as Solomon Islands. The ILD demonstrates that globally, linguistic diversity declined by 20% over the past 1970 to 2005. Regionally, indigenous linguistic diversity declined over 60% in Americas, 30% in the Pacific, including Australia, and almost 20% in Africa. Greatest number of people in the world are transitioning to just few dominant languages, and as a result, what we are witnessing is extinction of the language, says the author. This is where the author brings into picture the concerns associated with it. Whenever it is a language that becomes extinct, a whole culture also gets extinct as well. What exactly happens? Because I'm able to communicate with you, I'm speaking a language which I and you understand. This happens to be the English language. It would have taken a long period of time to come up with the script of this particular language. It would have taken large number of people to come together to introduce this particular language, and at the same time it takes large number of years and years for a particular section of the people to communicate a language as well. So it is not just a tool of communication, it also brings culture into place, it also brings values into place, it also brings ethos into place, it also brings emotions as well. So language is not just a tool of communication, it is an emotion, it is a feeling, it is love for the language and the cultural identity. Added to it, when we speak about a particular language, a language will have its own share of its knowledge base. To give you an example, we have Chanakya Niti. We also have some of the scriptures written by Chanakya. This was discovered in 1908. How? Because there was a particular language, Sanskrit, and we were able to know that language, we were able to read that language, we were able to decipher it. What if we did not have scholars who were able to decipher Chanakya Niti? In that particular case, the entire repository of knowledge would have gone for a waste. Similarly, if there is a language, there would be people who would have a particular culture, there would be a specific knowledge base that they would have gained over a period of time. Some of it would have been through the experiences. There can be food habits as well, there can be cuisine as well, there can be medicinal values as well. This they might have written in their own language. What if this particular language becomes extinct? There might be some important knowledge which other person would not be able to read and also put it out to just of the generation. So it is not just a tool to communicate, it is culture, it is emotion, it is knowledge. So their experiences would have been put in a particular language, and this language will have an old area or repository which can ultimately lead to passing to the future generation as well. And because of extinction of the languages, what we have is increasing cultural homogenization, says the author. This is where the author brings into picture with respect to India. A report was published by UNESCO in 2018. 42 languages are heading towards extinction in India. These were spoken by less than 10,000 people. According to the norms set by UNESCO, any language spoken by only 10,000 people is potentially endangered, and most of it are the tribal languages. So what is the degree of endangerment? If it is safe, it means it gets a grading of 5. The languages is used by all age groups from children up. If it is unsafe, it has a grading of 4. Definitely endangered, grading of 3. Severely endangered 2. Critically endangered 1, and extinct will have a grading of 0, which means there will be no speakers for that particular language. So what am I gonna do? How will I bring a change? This is where the author goes on to say that when it comes to arresting the decline of a language, what we have is couple of steps that have been taken by different organizations. Let's say, for example, there have been organizations like the LSA who are videotaping it. They are also making use of words. These words will help with the translation. So they are videotaping it, there are audio taping it, there are written records of the languages to prevent the decline of that particular language, and also asking the people to communicate in their own languages. So basically, this particular institution called as LSA is finding new ways to make sure that documents of these languages are documented so that people love their language and they continue to use the same language. So this article basically goes on to say, if such attempts can be taken up by many other institutions and awareness can be given to the people where they are made to fall in love with their own languages, then what we will have is the culture which can be passed on from one generation to another, and the knowledge will completely be transferred from a generation to another, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article says, what is heat index? Why is it important to measure heat index? So let's understand the concept of heat index. This heat index will help you understand that whenever there is heat wave, when there is relative heat or increased temperature, what you have to do is understand what the heat index in that particular locality is, to prevent the health related hazards from taking place. We know for the fact that whenever there is heat waves, this could lead to heat stress. This could also lead to likely health related complications. A person may go through stress, he may face anxiety, he may sweat a lot as well, he may fall down because of the increased temperature, he may have to take a couple of other steps as well. So whenever there is heat wave, it leads to heat stress. So identification of the heat index, that is temperature that our bodies feel because of the rise of the temperature and humidity in that particular region, is what is called as heat index. So what is heat index? Heat index is the temperature that is prevalent in that particular area. Added to it, that prevalence of the temperature is linked to the humidity. Read temperature with humidity and your body will sense a particular temperature. So the body will have to withstand a particular temperature. So the temperature in the environment added to the humidity in the environment will make your body feel a particular temperature, is what is called as heat index or the apparent temperature. So heat index, also known as apparent temperature, is a measure of how temperature feels to the humans. Relative humidity is an important factor that determines heat index along with air temperature, which basically means that there is a specific temperature in the environment, there is humidity which is there in the environment. Adding both together, that will feel something to your body. That is what is called as the heat index. How is heat index calculated? It is calculated, or it was published by Dr. Robert Stedman, and we have another definition which is called as dew point. What is this dew point? It is the temperature at which gas is transformed into a liquid state, is an important factor which is in the calculation of the heat index. So in terms of atmospheric moisture, it is the temperature at which air cannot hold any more water vapor and droplets of water begin to form. Why is this heat stress important? That is because, let's say for example, if the temperature starts increasing in a particular area, what do? We start sweating. This is the process by the body in order to keep up to the temperature internally. So you might start sweating profusely. When the temperature is increasing, your body releases the sweat out so that it is able to maintain the temperature internally. But what if there is a high level of humidity? In that particular case, because there is high level of humidity, there is already enough of water vapor in the air, there is no more water that can be taken out, and as a result you will feel the heat stress if the heat index is more. So hot air cannot hold moisture than cold air. Very important parameter from your preliminary examination point of view, that hot air cannot hold more moisture than the cold air. Therefore, when temperature rises, the air capacity to hold moisture also increases, thus affecting the apparent temperature on heat index. So basically, humidity is typically higher during heat waves, usually higher than just temperature, because humid air can feel hotter to the humans. So high humidity can lead to heat stress, meaning that body is unable to get rid of the excess heat. As I told you, whenever there is increased temperature, we control the internal body's temperature by releasing the sweat, which means that we are able to control our internal body temperature. However, when the humidity is high, it is not able to take it up, and ultimately humans usually will not be able to give out the sweat, and This could lead to other possible health related exhaustion, rashes among other symptoms. It can also be fatal if it is not prompted properly. So this is why what we have is a concept called as heat index, which helps in understanding what it is all about. So basically, what is heat stress? Heat index gives a greater risk about heat related risk as well as related issues. It serves as a warning for other illnesses as well as danger. If the humidity is low, evaporation of sweat is easier, thus making the apparent temperature feel close to the actual air temperature. That is why a measure of heat index is more useful than just the temperature to gauge the impact of the heat on the human beings. To understand how it feels on the human beings, this temperature is important. This is what we have to understand with respect to this article. It can be important from your GS paper 3, and this is important from the disaster management paper. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is, so another update is, if we have to speak about heat index, what we have is safe heat index where no adverse effects takes place. Then it is caution if it is between 27 to 32, extreme caution between 33 to 40, danger if it is 41 to 51, extreme danger between 52 to 92. This may cause heat stroke and other things, and if it is beyond human threshold, it is less than 93. Values beyond human resistance to heat are some of the health index parameters. Now let's look into the next article. Sorry, another update once again. So whenever we have the heat waves, what are the measures that we have to take? What is the output that could happen is what is given in this image. So prevention measures before the heat wave, what we have to do is we need to have contingency plans, we need to have heat proofs. What we have to do is think about nearby locations where we can stay cool. We have to talk to the doctor in case we feel the heat stress. And what are some other measures that we have to take during the heat wave? We have to hydrate enough. We have to stay in the coolest area of our home. We have to live with light, wearable, breathable materials. We have to monitor the body temperature constantly. We have to be vigilant about the signs of the heat illness. Check about vulnerable people. Make sure pets are staying cool as well. And we should not be working in extremes of temperature are some of the measures that we may have to take whenever there is heat stress. Now actually, let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about the Camp David Summit. What is this Camp David Summit? This happens to be a summit which was recently undertaken by 3 countries. Which are these countries? One, what we have is United States of America. Second, what we have is Japan. Third, what we have is Republic of Korea. So the Camp David Summit involved 3 countries. This can be prospectively asked in your preliminary examination. Which are these 3 countries? One, United States of America. Second happens to be Japan. Third happens to be Republic of Korea. These 3 countries coming together will enhance the security in the Indo-Pacific region is one part. Second part of the article also speaks about, since India already has good relationship with South Korea, we are going to establish 50 years of diplomatic relationship between India and South Korea. How this relationship, that is amongst the 3 countries, can further enhance the relationship between India and South Korea is what is this article all about. So let us try and understand what is the author trying to convey. The author in this particular case goes on to convey that we have the Camp David Summit. Which are the 3 countries part of it? United States, Japan and South Korea. This will further enhance the security in the Indo-Pacific region. How? There are already groups which are formed by United States of America and its allied partners. We have AUKUS. What does AUKUS stand for? It is Australia, United Kingdom and United States of America. These countries have come together. They are already taking certain measures in the Pacific region so that they can strengthen the security in the Indo-Pacific region. They are also help build some of the submarines for Australia as well. So United States of America and United Kingdom are helping Australia build submarines so that it can take care of the Pacific region and the ocean specificities in that particular region. We also know for the fact that India is part of Quad. Which are the countries which are part of Quad? We have United States of America, we have Japan, we have India, we also have Australia. These countries are part of Quad. Then we have Chip 4 Alliance, which includes United States of America, Japan, Taiwan and South Korea, which help in strengthening the alliance of the chips. What are these chips? Let's say for example, we have the semiconductors. These semiconductors are required for most of the operations when it comes to electronic tools and equipments. But then during the COVID-19, what happened? There was supply chain which was stopped, not because China wanted to do it, but because of the COVID-19, or in the near future, because of the strategic implications, it may stop as well. In order to prevent such things, what we have is a supply chain initiatives taken by India and Japan. We also have Chip 4 Alliance, which basically means in case we require semiconductors, these countries have come together so that in case there is requirement of any of these chips for the semiconductor technology, they would be able to export for these countries. So United States of America, Japan, Taiwan and South Korea have also come up together for the Chip 4 Alliance. So we already have a group where we have United States of America, which happens to be a member of all these groups, which is wanting to enhance the relationship among the allied partners. Now with this Camp David summit, we have United States of America, which is bridging the differences between Japan and Republic of Korea. So what is the issue? Japan was once upon a time a colonial power. It was Japan which also was very aggressive as well. It had conquered pockets of North Korea. It had conquered pockets of South Korea. So what is North Korea and South Korea today was Korea during the 1940s. So during that period, a large-scale human rights violations had occurred, and these was perpetrated by Japan towards South Korea. Large number of Korean people were killed during the Second World War as well. This relationship is yet not reached its optimum level, and as a result, during the Camp David summit, since countries have come together, South Korea and Japan are trying to bridge the differences at this particular moment. South Korea on a new strategic direction in the Indo-Pacific with improved relations with Tokyo, more synergy with the American view on China as well. Added to it, this is the second point, that there is bridging of differences between Japan as well as South Korea. The third important pointer is when you look at South Korea did not want to antagonize China. Why? That is because China happens to be the immediate neighbor of South Korea. So what does earlier presidents and earlier political thinkers of South Korea did? They did not want to antagonize China. They did not want to create that antipathy towards China. They did not want to have this weak relationship with China. So they did not voice any concerns despite China being an aggressive dominant partner. Despite threats given by China, South Korea did not want to antagonize China, and they wanted to have very subtle relationship between China as well as South Korea. But over a period of time, since they want to also be part of Quad as well, they want to enhance their role in the Indo-Pacific region, their leaders have now decided that if China is aggravating circumstances in the Indo-Pacific region, they are already part of some of the allied groups with United States of America, they are bridging differences between Japan as well, so why not bring about a change? So the political thinkers are ready to take on China despite having the economic relationship. So there is a strategic shift in South Korea's traditional approach of not offending China at any cost, primarily because we have Korea whose economy is majorly based with China as well. So in order to prevent this, in order to not escalate the tensions, they had in the past not allowed tensions, not voiced out opinions, but now they are going into the lap of United States of America. They are bridging the differences between Japan. So it means that China will start irritating South Korea going forward, and there is a strong desire of Republic of Korea even to join the Quad grouping as well, which includes USA, India, Japan and Australia. In fact, we have President Yeol, who has declared that the main goal of his foreign policy would be to make South Korea a global pivotal state, which means it is taking on China. So this Camp David summit was able to re-establish the ties and was also able to reinvigorate the passions of Korea is the first part of the article. The second part of the article speaks about India and South Korea. We have been able to establish India and South Korea relationship. This happens to be the 50th year. What are the changes that we can bring? We've already established a lot of connection between India and South Korea. But what are the changes that we can bring? RKO's location in the Indo-Pacific region is close to China, while being a US ally provides India with a like-minded strategic partner. So what is the author trying to say? Rise of China and its unilateral attempts at reordering the Asian security architecture are of great concern. Why is that South Korea is entering into a new mode of friendship with India? That is because of two reasons. One, when it comes to South Korea, where is it? It is in the Pacific region. It is an ally of United States of America. An ally of United States of America will become an ally of another friend of United States of America. We already have good relationship with South Korea. This will further get enhanced because of the Camp David summit. In Camp David summit, what we have is United States of America. What we have is Japan. We already have good relationship between Japan and United States of America. Now South Korea is going to be more closer, yet the bonhomie will increase despite few differences that we have. So they are already part of some of the summits. They are already having good relationship. This relationship will now come on the India as well as South Korea's relationship. Added to it, we know for the fact that China happens to be an aggressive country. It has skirmishes and tussles with most of the countries that it has borders with. It can be the coastal border, it can be the maritime border, or it can be the land border as well. India also has issues with China. South Korea now also has issues with China as well, because they too have differences. These two countries coming together will help the India-South Korea relationship. So what is the way forward? As of now, we have something called as the 2+2 dialogue. What is this 2+2 dialogue? You will have the defense minister and the foreign minister of countries come and discuss about the bilateral relationship. This relationship has been existing between India and countries like United States of America, Japan, Australia and Russia. Now, if the same can also be expanded to South Korea, that will further enhance the relationship. South Korea, Japan, India, USA initiative on critical and emerging technology can be taken up. We have established this relationship with United States of America, where initiative on critical and emerging technology has already been created, laid path with respect to India and United States of America. Why not all these four countries come together and create such an emerging technology transfer sharing? That is another perspective that the author says will have to be taken up between India and South Korea. Then with respect to the defense, we have to enhance the relationship. The K9 Vajra, a 155mm self-propelled howitzer built by L&T Technology from South Korea's Hanwha Defense is an example in this regard. So we can further enhance the relationship by integrating on the defense front, transfer of technology. South Korean built K2 Black Panther tanks could also be co-produced in India as part of the Make in India initiative. And the last important factor is with respect to the nuclear reactors. India requires the nuclear reactors for its energy production, which is another source of energy, and if South Korea can help us, that will further increase the relationship, as South Korea has the expertise of supplying cheaper and faster nuclear reactors to United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia and Central European states. Why not make use of the expertise of South Korea and bring it into Indian forum so that we have enhanced relationship, is what is this article all about. So primarily we have the Camp David summit, where you have United States of America, Japan and South Korea come together, and this relationship gets further enhanced. The same can be imported into India and South Korea's relationship, and if we are able to address these issues, we would be able to do so, says the author. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about Black Sea Grain Initiative. This is important from your GS paper 2, which is IR, International Relations. What we have is one of the recent wars that was undertaken by Russia. Russia, being an aggressive state, happens to invade Ukraine. When this invasion of Russia to Ukraine happens, what happens? There are a couple of spiral effects that takes place, spillover effect that takes place. What are these spillover effects? Apart from the direct war that Russia was engaging with Ukraine, it also has spillover effects. One is in terms of inflation in the market. The second is in terms of agricultural product and the commodities. Whenever there is a particular country which engages in war, it is constantly in the state of war and it wants to come out of that particular war as well, having a particular objective being achieved. During the process of war, what would happen? There are countries which are engaged in war, and at the same time, this country might have been sending food items to another country, but right now, since it is engaged in war, it may not be able to export these food crops. For example, we have Russia and Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine were exporting wheat related products. They were also exporting fertilizers as well. They were also exporting sunflower oil to couple of countries. Let's say we have Russia. Russia was exporting food products, let's say the wheat or the sunflower oil from Russia to couple of countries in Africa. Now they are engaged in war. They are not able to export the fertilizers and the agricultural commodities, and as a result, because they are not able to export, many countries in Africa are not able to get these products. So there is inflation. Why? Because there is excessive demand that is required, but there is no supply, and as a result, when there is excessive demand, no supply, this could obviously lead to inflation. This is what happened during the war, and ultimately many countries suffered. On one side, there is exponential rise of the price. On the other side, they are not able to get the demand as well. They are not able to get the agricultural product. This ultimately led to one of the initiatives taken by the United Nations called as the Black Sea Grain Initiative. So what is this Black Sea Grain Initiative? Basically, Russia is engaged in the Ukraine war. Despite this particular war, what United Nations was able to convince Russia and Ukraine was, yes, you have differences. Let's settle out these differences amicably. While we engage in this particular war, we will also try to settle these issues. At the same time, whatever exports that you countries were making to couple of other countries, that should continue to happen despite the differences. So the UN plan, which is linked to efforts to ensure Russian food and fertilizer reach global markets, supports the stabilization of spiraling food prices worldwide and stave off famine and affecting millions people, is what is called as the Black Sea Grain Initiative. So from the Black Sea, you have couple of ports in the Ukraine. From these ports, what we're going to export is the food products as well as fertilizers, despite having the differences between Russia and Ukraine. This initiative specifically allows for commercial food and fertilizer, including ammonia exports from 3 key Ukrainian ports in the Black Sea, which includes Odessa, Chernomorsk as well as Yuzhny. But something else happened. What happened? We had Russia, which was exporting. Ukraine was also exporting as well, but Russia was imposed with sanctions by the Western power. United States of America, European Union and couple of countries in Europe like France, Germany, United Kingdom start imposing sanctions on Russia. So what does Russia do? Russia feels its economy is being hit because of the sanctions imposed by the Western powers. So I'm no more gonna be part of this Black Sea Grain Initiative. I was part of the Black Sea Grain Initiative primarily because I wanted to help the global community. But now the Western powers have imposed sanctions on me. So why would I take care of the world, says Russia. So as a result, it withdraws itself from the Black Sea Grain Initiative that was proposed by the United Nations, and ultimately we still feel the crunch of the resources in Africa and couple of other countries. So in order to bring Russia back into this Black Sea Grain Initiative, can India become the forum during the G20 summit, is what is this article all about. Right now, Russia is not part of the Black Sea Grain Initiative because it withdraws from it. Why does it withdraw? Because it feels that the Western powers have enforced the sanctions. So to bring back Russia into this initiative, what we have to do is make India speak to Russia and bring them back to this initiative, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article here says African Union to join G20 as Sherpas reach a deal. The article here is speaking about one of the terms called as Sherpas. This can be important from the preliminary as well as your mains examination point of view. What is it? When it comes to the G20, we have a structure. This has a 3-layered structure, which basically means 2 are official and 1 is unofficial. As part of its official structure, what we have is one called as the finance track, the other happens to be the Sherpa track. What is this finance track? This is where group of ministers as well as central bank governors, they come up together. So it's a platform that is created by G20. So you have the central finance ministers of different countries. For example, we have finance minister from India, Nirmala Sitharaman ji. We also have the RBI governor, which happens to central bank governor. They all come up on this particular platform. They discuss and they deliberate about the economic issues that are persisting in the economy. So what is the finance track? The finance track is headed by the finance minister and central bank governors, who usually meet 4 times a year, with 2 meetings being held on the sidelines of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund meetings. So what do they focus on? They focus on fiscal and monetary policy issues on the global economy front, infrastructure, financial regulation, financial inclusion, international financial architecture, as well as international taxation. So these countries and their representatives in the form of finance minister and central bank governors, they all assemble together. They come up, they discuss about the financial instability that is there in the market, discuss, deliberate and seek out solutions. So they have problems at hand, they take out the problems and ultimately get solutions for this, where they have a clear-cut deliberations on this platform that has been created by the G20. So the G20 has one of the structures called as the finance track, and this finance track basically helps in creating financial stability. Added to it, we have what is called as the Sherpa. Who are these Sherpa? This particular concept of Sherpa was introduced back in the year 2008. What do? So basically, these are the career diplomats who come up to this particular platform. They discuss about the haunting issues. So every country will have the representatives. So these representatives from a country, they come up together, they discuss about the issues that are present. For example, on socio-economic issues, let's say agriculture, anti-corruption, climate, digital economy, education, employment, energy, environment, health related issues, tourism, trade and investment. So what happens? You have the career diplomats, high ranking government officials that are chosen by that particular country. They all come up together and they ultimately participate in the closed door meetings, and they have representatives from the international organizations as well, and these start working on all these aspects that we just discussed. So Sherpas get together well in advance in this particular summit, basically to remove the conflict differences of all these domains that we just discussed. So these are the people who are the representatives of a particular country, and these representatives ultimately bridge out the differences. So they come up to it and they also release what is called as the communique. So the Sherpa track was established back in the year 2008, and they discuss all these issues. And after the resolving of these conflicts, these also, when it comes to G20, they also issue the declaration, they also issue a communique. This declaration and the communique is written and deliberated by the Sherpa. So they release a declaration, they release a communique. That communique and the declaration of the G20 is released by these Sherpas. It will be drafted by these Sherpas, who are the representatives of the respective company or the respective country. So the Sherpas are the representatives of that relevant company, where they discuss all these issues. The third unofficial group in the part of G20 happens to be the engagement groups. What are these engagement groups? This includes civil society groups, where they basically draft recommendations, they give it to the Sherpas, and on the basis of which they can include it or exclude it. So what is the unofficial group? The unofficial group are engagements on the civil society front, where they draft recommendations to the G20 leaders, contribute to the policy making processes. For example, we have Women 20, Youth 20, Think 20. These are some of the engagement groups that we have. So the third unofficial ones happens to be the engagement groups, which are nothing but the civil society organizations. This is what we have to understand. So the Sherpas are nothing but the representatives, and the structure includes finance track, Sherpa, as well as engagement groups. Now let's look into the next article. And do note, when it comes to the Sherpas, I mean, as I told you, the representatives who have been representing a particular country in the past, we have had Sherpas who have represented India in 2009, who happens to be Montek Singh Ahluwalia. In 2015, it was represented by Arvind Panaria. In 2018, by Shaktikant Das. In 2019, by Suresh Prabhu. In 2021, by Piyush Goyalji. These are the people who have represented us as Sherpas when it comes to the G20 summit. Now let's look into the next article. This article says India-ASEAN relationship 12-point proposal. What is this 12-point proposal? What is this India-ASEAN relationship? We will take up in an elaborate way, but as of now, all that you have to focus is on Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given this particular proposal to expand cooperation between India and ASEAN, and this includes on connectivity front, trade front, digital transformation front, so on and so forth. We will have more editorials in the columns in the next few days. We will take this article in an elaborate way. Until then, please hold on to this particular topic. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about the Vembanad Lake. It is important from the preliminary examination point of view. It happens to be the longest lake in India as well as the largest lake in the state of Kerala. The lake is fed by about 10 rivers flowing into it. 6 major rivers which includes Achenkovel, Manimala, Meenachil, Muvattupulo, Pamba as well as Periyar. So it is fed by these rivers. Kuttanad, which happens to be the rice bowl of Kerala, has the lowest altitude in India and is one of the few places in the world where cultivation takes place below sea level. Whereas this Kuttanad, it lies on the southern portion of the Vembanad. The Vembanad wetland system was included in the list of wetlands of international importance as defined by the Ramsar Convention. It is the place where the Nehru Trophy boat race is conducted, and the most popular location on the shores of the lake is the Kummakonam tourist village, and the Kummakonam bird sanctuary is located on the northern fringes of the Kumarokkam village. These are some of the important factual data which can be important from the preliminary examination point of view. So please remember these facts. Now let's look into the next article. So where is it located? As you can show in the map, this is where this lake is located. So you have Kuttanad here, you have Allappula here, and what we have is the Vembanad in this particular area. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about the Brahmani River. This article makes a mention about the Brahmani River as shown in the image. Where is it? It is a major seasonal river in Odisha. It is formed by the confluence of Shank and South Koyal rivers. It is the second widest river in Odisha after Mahanadi. The Brahmani Delta is the site of Bittakarnika Wildlife Sanctuary, famous for its estuarine crocodiles, and Pachala happens to be a tributary of Brahmani River in Kendrapara district of Odisha. All these are important from the preliminary examination point of view. Where is it? It is in Odisha. This happens to be the Brahmani River. This happens to be the Baitarani River. Remember, so the Brahmani River is in the state of Odisha, and which are the tributaries? Pachala happens to be its tributary. Now let's look into the next article. This article is speaking about one of the concepts called as the game of skill, and we have another concept called as game of chance. So remember, when it comes to gambling, it is in the state list. So it is the states which should be able to regulate it. So remember, gambling, betting, all these are in the state list, and it is only the states which should be able to regulate it. What is the game of chance? What is a game of skill? A game of chance is allowed by a country, allowed by a state. A game of skill is allowed by the state. A game of chance may not be allowed by the state. What is the game of chance? Let's say we have a game called as Andar Bahar. What is this game all about? Let's say we are playing the card. One of the person says that 2 is my number. So I am putting this card randomly. So if 2 falls to that particular person, that person will take all the money. Is there any logic in it? Is there any skill involved in it? No, it is purely on the luck. So the game of chance basically means that particular game is purely by luck, purely by chance, there is no logic, no skill that is involved, these things can be regulated by the state, which means to say they may allow it and they may not allow it as well. It is ultimately the discretion of the state. Then we have something called as the game of the skill. What is this game of the skill? Game of the skill happens to be rummy. You have the cards game rummy. You also have horse racing as well. This involves a lot of skill as well. It depends on what kind of horse is picked up, who the jockey is. So there is a lot of skill set that is involved. So in betting and in gambling, if there is a skill set that is required, talent that is required, application of the mind that is required, and they ultimately make some money out of it, that is what is game of skill. So a state should allow the game of skill, but it may or it may not allow the game of chance. So this is the important concept which I wanted to explain through this article. So this is what we have to understand with respect to today's Hindu analysis. If you are liking these initiatives, please do like, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and in case you have any difficulties, you're not able to understand a particular concept, you want me to discuss a particular topic, which is the topic that you want me to discuss, please put it on the comment section so that I can pick up that topic and come up with a detailed analysis of that topic as well. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.